It's February 2024 and court is sitting in the mystery town. Remember, I'm not naming the town. It's a great regional town, like many places in New South Wales. The purpose of today is finding out about all the cases and discussing how the case could, would, might deter the community. Remember, we can't be deterred if we don't know it exists. I didn't embarrass myself in front of the sheriff the entire time I was there. I know, it's most unlike me. It could be because all the doors were wide open because it was really hot. It's a small courtroom and you can hear and see everything that's going on. There are only 12 defendants facing the magistrate today. Of the 12 defendants, 6 are adjourned or went through sort of the next step of the process. They were very brief. It was very admin type of exchange, so no details, and we'll hear about them at a later court date. Of the 6 defendants that are about to be sentenced, I can find no information about their arrest or the case in the public domain. I look in the police media releases, the newspaper and social media. I don't know the cases exist, but for the court list. The court list only has names and no charges. I am left with attending court and listening from the gallery if I want to find out any details about these cases. The first case is about gun parts. The situation is there's a guy and some police in a shed. There is no backstory of why the police are in this shed. Actually, I wouldn't assume they were investigating this guy. There could be various reasons why this guy is interacting with the police. In fact, he could be reporting the crime rather than being a suspect. There are no other details or charges. Police find 2 gun parts in the back of the shed. One is a barrel and the other is a rifle block thing. They are in parts. They are covered in cobwebs. No bolt is found, which is the bit that will make the rifle work. The guy is said to be very open with police. The court hears he told the police they were his father's. By the way, this guy is mature age, maybe 60s or 70s, I'm guessing. It is possible the parts are old. The use of the past tense made me assume that maybe his father is no longer alive because they said they were his father's. The guy has no previous convictions and the court considers him of good character. There are a couple of ways you can establish the court's definition of good character. In this case, I think it's because he's managed no criminal history and he's been on the planet for a long time. Remember, the court is in a regional area surrounded by working properties, but there's no details if this shed was in town or on a farm. What I mean is guns are lawfully used in agricultural businesses. In fact, on this day, there was an adjournment, so everyone has to leave the courtroom. It's hot, and the best shade is from the shadow of the police station next door. While I was standing there, this man walks into the police station and then minutes later walks out with a gun in a gun case. You can tell by the shape. Police walk him to his car, past myself and the defendant's small kids who are playing out the front of the courthouse. Guns are, or can be, a lawful part of life in regional New South Wales. Basically, the law says we can't have guns or gun parts unlawfully. The magistrate explains everyone knows you can't possess a firearm. What's not explained is the charge, because there are a couple of different types of gun offences. It's my assumption that the charge is Section 7A of the Firearms Act 1996, and we're in New South Wales, which says a person must not possess or use a firearm unless the person is authorised to do so by a licence or permit. The maximum penalty is imprisonment for 5 years. By the way, we're in the local court, which has a jurisdictional limit of 2 years imprisonment. So the sentence can be anything from 0 to no greater than 2 years. It would need to be transferred to the district court in order to sentence for more than 2 years, up to the maximum for this offence of 5 years. But it's staying here in the local court. The guy is charged with 2 counts of possession. One is for the barrel and the other is for the rifle bit. He pleads guilty to both counts. The guy is sentenced to a community correction order for 12 months and no conviction is recorded. So this bond monitors him in the community, and if he reoffends, these charges will be called up again and he can be resentenced. I had a look at sentencing data from the New South Wales Bureau of Crime Statistics and Research. Looking at the patterns, I would say about 800 to 900 people in New South Wales will be dealt with by the local courts for prohibited weapons offences this year. This person is one of them. Did that deter me? Well, it's a sort of NA because I just don't really do guns. I'm really not interested in possessing parts of a gun unlawfully. However, perhaps it's a reminder to others to dust off the cobwebs and lawfully dispose of gun parts. However, no details of this case can be found in the public domain, so it's unlikely to have a general deterrence. The next two cases are traffic offences. I'm claiming that the community can be impacted by traffic offences because we all go near a road. Like, for example, we can be drivers or passengers or pedestrians. The first case is driving on a suspended licence. The situation is, it's a lady in her 40s has had her licence suspended temporarily until she gets a medical certificate. She needs it from a specialist who doesn't visit the area often. During this time, she has driven her teenage son to work while suspended. Whilst waiting for this court date, she has got her licence back because now she's got the letter from the specialist. Also, she has completed the traffic offenders program. The magistrate gets a report about the program and comments in open court about how she has engaged with the program, in particular that the woman has facilitated her son to engage in part of the program with her. The court considers her of good character and her driving record is said to be unremarkable. Unremarkable driving records, I am assuming, could be because she's probably been driving for 20 years and had no convictions, maybe a fine, but there are no details given. By the way, the magistrate has all the details in the papers in front of them. We only get to hear the details if they say them out loud. The magistrate uses their discretion and dismisses the case. That's the outcome, dismissed. By the way, looking at sentencing data over the years, I would say the courts will deal with about 15,000 people this year for offences of drive while licence disqualified or suspended. This is one of them. My thoughts is it's a reminder to the community to have your paperwork in order regarding your driver's licence. However, no details of the case are available in the public domain. The next traffic offence is more serious. The charge is negligent driving occasioning grievous bodily harm. It's section 117 of the Road Transport Act 2013 and we're in New South Wales. The maximum sentence is 9 months imprisonment. It's very likely that there will be a criminal conviction recorded. There's also a likelihood of a lengthy loss of licence, like 3 years, and there's a likelihood of a fine as well. This is negligent driving, not dangerous driving, which is more serious. Dangerous is like talking on your phone or not looking, while negligent is more like driving in a manner that a reasonable driver would given the circumstances. This situation, from what I can gather, the incident happened in town. The driver has turned a corner in an intersection and hit a pedestrian who was crossing the road. No speeding was involved, no drugs or alcohol were involved. The magistrate reminds everyone that they are only going to assess with the facts before them. For example, they don't have a map of the scene to assist in understanding some of the circumstances like how far away from the corner did it happen, etc. Everyone agrees the grievous bodily harm occurred. The pedestrian being hit by the car causes a fracture to their femur, which is the leg bone. They spent some time in hospital and are likely to have some medical issues. So there's no doubt the pedestrian was injured. Because there's not heaps of evidence in front of the magistrate, it's agreed that there might have been a blind spot. There might have been a darkened roadway. The pedestrian who was not on a pedestrian crossing was wearing darker clothing. I'm reading between the lines here. I felt the magistrate would have liked more evidence. The driver has already pled guilty and completed the traffic offenders program. What happens next is a sort of balancing act, which includes considering the injured pedestrian, the level of seriousness, and the life circumstances of the driver. As they can't see any evidence that there was deliberate conduct, it is considered the lower end of seriousness on the scale of negligent driving. The driver is seeking to keep their licence as it's needed for school drop-off and employment. It's acknowledged that there is no public transport options in this town. That's a difference between this town and my local area in Maitland. We have public transport in the Hunter. In the end, the driver keeps their licence and is placed on a community correction order, meaning reoffending would mean resentencing for this offence. Looking at statistics, it looks like about 2,000 people will probably go before the courts this year for dangerous and negligent driving. That's both types. The statistics don't separate between negligent and dangerous driving. This case is the negligent type. My thoughts, it's a reminder negligent driving comes with serious penalties. Watch out for pedestrians when turning a corner in an intersection. Honestly, I drove away from court thinking about pedestrians as I drove down the busy main street in this small town. I couldn't find any details about the case in the public domain. I thought it was a missed opportunity to inform the community about this scenario for the purpose of deterring. By the way, I haven't been in this town for a couple of years, and I can confirm the burgers in the local takeaway are still delicious. The next 3 defendants have a bit of a mixed set of charges and are a bit more complex, so I think I'll do a second part.